In this tutorial, we will be demonstrating how easy it is to generate work summary utilization reports within your virtual desktop environment using the VDI ToolKit. Why we may want work summary utilization reports? Well, first, it can be used to audit remote workers. With these reports, you can see how long a user was connected to their virtual desktop. So let's say we have a full-time remote worker. In turn, the report should show that the user was logged into their virtual desktop for about 40 hours on a weekly basis. Now, I know what you're thinking, that someone could just log into their virtual desktop and minimize the client while doing something else on their personal computer. The VDI ToolKit offers an idle monitor that will automatically disconnect the session after an idle time with no user input. This can be used to help combat such scenarios, as the reports will display time that was in a disconnected session as well. Please watch the video tutorial on auto disconnecting idle sessions for more information. You can also use these reports to see how often a client is being used. Why may we want such information? Well, let's say we are trying to repurpose a zero client within our organization. Many times when trying to do this, we will ask leaders in the area how often employees are using said client. And often the answer is always a resounding, "We use it often, and you can't take the client away as we need it." By generating such reports, you're bringing proof to that conversation on what the actual utilization is. Lastly, these reports provide detailed lists of utilization information you are able to use for general auditing within your virtual desktop environment. To provide an example, let's say we have a customer service issue and the customer doesn't know who the person was that helped them, but knows exactly where they were helped. You could then in turn generate a report for that client during that time frame and see all users that were logged into that client during said time frame. So what do these reports provide? Well, they provide key metrics that can be used to determine utilization for clients, users, and virtual desktops. They also provide a visual representation of the metrics, making it easier to decipher. And lastly, they provide a detailed list of data used to determine the metrics that can be easily exported and used elsewhere. Up next, we will demonstrate generating work summary utilization reports using the VDI ToolKit. Okay, so let's get started. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and generate a work summary report and go ahead and demonstrate that. So what we'll want to do is open up the management console. And I actually have that running on a virtual desktop, so we'll go ahead and open that. Okay, once open, I'm going to go ahead and expand it. So what we want to do first is navigate to Work Summary and click there. And then from here, we'll choose the Work Summary type, and we have the options of client, user, or virtual desktop. We'll go ahead and leave it as client, and then we can actually search and determine which client we want to generate it on. So I'll just pick a random one, and please bear in mind that this is just random data to be able to generate these things and show them. So we'll go ahead and pick this one, and okay. We'll select a start date and an end date. Go back here. And we will go ahead and hit generate. And once we generate, we can see that it created the report. So let's go over a couple things here first. Just so you know, this report, you can print it right here. You can also change the metrics. So these metrics right up here and down here, right now it's showing the dailies. You can change it to weeklies or to monthlies, just to get an idea. So we'll go ahead and switch that back to weekly. And so some of the metrics that we have here is the average connected. So that's how long they were connected on the average weekly. And then during the time span. And then we have average connected internally and externally. So it breaks it down of what was internal, what was external. This could be useful if you're trying to see how much an employee is working remote versus at the office. Now, please keep in mind if they are on a VPN connection and using a client while on a VPN connection, that would have, of course, show up as internal. We also have the disconnected time, and that lets you know how long the session on average was in a disconnected state during that time period. And then down here we have the total connected hours, total connected internally, and total connected externally, and total disconnected. Now these totals are over the whole time span. They have no bearing on the weekly, daily, and quarterly, or monthly, I mean. And so this is over the time period that we selected. What was the total connected internal versus external, and total disconnected. Right here, we have a nice bar graph that can demonstrate those items, showing what the average daily is, and for each day. So, you know, somebody that's Monday through Friday, obviously we probably won't see anything on Saturday and Sunday. On this line graph here, it goes over the time frame, and it shows how long they were connected and what was internal versus external, and what was disconnected. And so we can actually take and we can zoom in on these things if we needed to, if we were doing a long period of time, just to take a look. And you'll notice that when you highlight over, it also gives you the date as well of what that sample of data is from. We can also take two, and if we come down here to this ellipsis and just highlight our mouse over it, we'll see this open up. And we can actually show grid lines if we want grid lines, and we can also show the legend. Once the legend is up, we can actually deselect items if we only want to see certain items. I'll go ahead and add those back, and we can turn that off. Okay, so we've gone over that. Now, if you'll notice here in the lower right, we also have a detail section, and this is what's going to give our detail list of all the data that was used to generate those metrics over that time period. And you can kind of just take a look and see some of the information that we're collecting and using. And so this can be helpful too if you're trying to troubleshoot issues, or somebody had an issue but they don't remember where they were connected from, or something like that. You can also use this to audit as well. And that brings up the whole point too in this utilization. Like here we're doing a client, and so if you were trying to repurpose a client, you could run this report to see, hey, is anybody actually using that client in the department ever? Like maybe it's a department where people come and go and log on to multiple different workstations. They're never working at the same spot. And maybe you have too many clients there and you want to try to repurpose one somewhere else. I mean, a setting like that would normally be like a hospital or something along those lines. Back in the details section, so once again, we gather all this data. You can export that and use that for auditing if you'd like. So like, let's say you had an issue, let's say it's a hospital and in the emergency department, and you had a patient that called and complained about whoever was helping them or taking care of them, and they have workstations or clients in all the patient rooms. You could easily ask them, hey, what was that time frame when that happened? And then you could run this report based off of that client over that time frame, and you could see who all logged in during that time frame. So that's all, let's see, right here. So we can see all the different users that logged into that client over that time frame. Now, of course, if you're running on user, that's going to be the same for all of them because it's just going to be based off of the user. We can also take this data if we wanted to do something else with it or store it for something else. We can actually go and export, and it'll save it as a CSV, and you can export the CSV and then use that data or anything that you want with it. Maybe you're trying to generate some other reports with it or something like that in Excel. So it's RA and CSV format, so you can open it up with Excel and then convert it to XLS and then do any types of charts or graphing that you would like. But this gives you an overall picture too of what was going on. And in this scenario, it was with the client. So we see, you know, when it was connected, who it was connected from, and whatnot. That pretty much sums that up. I hope you found this tutorial useful, and thank you.